Running. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm Montserrat. I chose to talk about poaching today and how I think it should either be illegal, well, it should be illegal and very closely monitored. For those of you who don't know what poaching is, it's the killing and maiming of animals for an element that people deem desirable. And it's mostly prevalent in Central and Southern Africa and South and Southeast Asia. So poaching includes animals such as elephants for their ivory from the tusks, tigers for their pelts and their bones, the rhinos for their horns, sharks for their fins. There's an animal called pangolin that they poach them for their scales. And there's a lot of species that are going endangered. So there's about 30,000 species that are going endangered right now, and it's not all due to poaching, but a lot of it has to do from poaching because it affects the whole ecosystem and all the animals that live in that ecosystem. So it has a lot to do with it. For example, right now rhinos there's one every 12 hours that gets poached, and it went down from before COVID, but now it's still going back up after COVID. And like I said, COVID did slow down a little bit of the poaching, but it's still really prevalent now. And especially after lockdown and everything, now everything going back to normal, poaching is starting to back up again, and it's starting to get really big. A lot of the way that poachers kill these animals is very inhumane too. So the way that they do it is they'll use poisonous arrows to kill them. That way there's nonprofit organizations that have cameras around the areas. So that way no gunshots are heard or anything and they won't get caught. So those poisonous arrows stay in the animals and they kill them very slowly, and those animals suffer a lot too while they're dying. And while they're after they're dead and after they're not moving anymore, they're not a danger to the poacher, they carve them up and for example elephants, they carve up their heads. They their tusks are very hard to get out of their face, so they basically just maim them really bad, and it's awful. There's also dangers of poaching for us as well. It affects us because it leads for species to be extinct. It makes unbalanced ecosystems. There's pets that are sold for exotic trade, so people who keep birds as exotic animals and stuff like that, and it's not their habitat, so they don't live very well and they don't have good quality of life. And it also threatens biodiversity, which threatens our economic, our food security, and our quality of life as well. There have been things that have been done to reduce poaching and all of that, such as nonprofit organizations like Panthera. They protect wildcats. They set up highly trained anti-poaching teams. They have poacher cams to see any poachers in the area, and then they distribute their teams to catch them. And then there's also nonprofit organizations that help fund for the animals to stay safe, in a habitat and be in a surrounded area where they're not going to be poached. And some of these that you can donate to, or if you want to look it up yourself, they're Save Vietnam Wildlife, Wild Aid, World Wildlife Fund, and International Anti-Poaching Foundation.